British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is visiting Germany today. It will be his first trip to continental Europe as Prime Minister. Although already there are talks about the implication of his visit for Brexit and Germany's stance on that matter. My colleague Benisa Bubeido-Lansa has been looking at the implication of this trip, not only for Europe and the UK or Brexit, but also for Africa. She's been speaking with Thomas Sparrow, who is political correspondent with our partners DW.
A big day for Germany, and I would say indeed also a big day for the European Union, as Boris Johnson, the new Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, makes his first visit to Germany. He will then go to France and then also join other world leaders at the G7, and obviously the key topic that will be discussed there is Brexit. Boris Johnson has said on various occasions that the UK will leave the bloc with or without a deal at the end of October. The German leader and also other European leaders would prefer that to be with a deal than without a deal, and that is exactly what is going to be discussed today. According to Boris Johnson, what he would like to do is to try and change elements of the withdrawal agreement, that agreement that was signed by his predecessor Theresa May and by the European Union leaders. Boris Johnson in particular rejects or is very critical of the so-called backstop, that idea to prevent a hard border between the Republic of Ireland, which is part of the European Union, and Northern Ireland, which is part of the United Kingdom. And as such, he rejects the idea because he believes it is anti-democratic and because he believes it would lead to the UK being too tied to the European Union even after Brexit. Now, from the German side and from the EU side, there is little hope that the withdrawal agreement will be reopened. What they have said time and time again is that that withdrawal agreement was negotiated over a long period, that it is a compromise, and that it's not in the best interest of either the European Union or the United Kingdom to reopen it.
So what does this visit mean specifically for Britain's Brexit plans?
It specifically means that we're talking here about a general blame game between the United Kingdom and the European Union. Each party saying that the other party is not willing to move and not willing to make further concessions. It is unlikely what changes we will see from this. It is even more probable, more likely, that we will see a no-deal scenario. In other words, that the UK will leave at the end of October without a deal in place, something that the German leader wants to avoid. It has said, Germany has said on various occasions that it would prefer the UK to leave the EU with a deal, a deal that was signed, rather than without a deal. But at the same time, Germany, and by the way also other European leaders, have been preparing for this no-deal scenario by passing legislation, by passing regulations, in order to minimize the possible negative impact of such a no-deal scenario.
What does this mean for Germany? I mean, the political implications of his visit.
Germany has always been a proponent of more Europe, of more European integration. So you can imagine that the decision by the United Kingdom to leave the bloc was a big shock here in Germany. In fact, it was a shock that took some time for German leaders to try and recover and make preparations. That's also something that has to be said. And I think some people here in Germany still have the hope that Brexit will not happen. Again, because they believe that it is important to have countries that are part of the bloc and are more integrated. At the same time, the German government, and this is important, has stressed since the beginning that it respects the decision by British voters, that it is interested in having a good relationship with the United Kingdom after Brexit, that it would prefer the United Kingdom to leave with a deal, but that it is preparing for every possible eventuality, and one of them obviously being the no-deal scenario.
Finally, what could be in all of this for Africa and the world at large?
What you can see clearly is that the European Union, because of this very big development, has been focused more and more on internal problems, whether it is these Brexit developments, whether it is the rise of populism. Obviously, the European Union is still very much interested in maintaining close relationships with the rest of the world, so it will still try and focus on its relationship and its partnership with Africa. That's absolutely clear. On the other hand, for example, the United Kingdom, when it leaves the European Union, it will start to, let's say, get loose from all those different links that have tied it, according to Brexit supporters, to the European Union in the past, and it will as such have to negotiate its own trade deals, its own political relationships again. So probably you will see more changes from the UK perspective to the outside world than from the European Union side to the outside world. The European Union still maintains that it is interested in keeping strong relationships with the rest of the world, including in particular Africa, whereas the European Union also has interest in keeping a strong relationship with the United Kingdom. The UK, on the other hand, also has said that as a powerful nation, it has all the interest in maintaining strong relationships with countries around the world, and that also includes Africa. But it is still important, it still remains to be seen how exactly all this will develop, because the big question, how the UK will leave the European Union, is still one that is full of questions.
Thank you very much for your time. This afternoon, Thomas Sparrow is political correspondent with our partners at DW, and he's been giving us details on the visit of the UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson to Germany, the first time after he became Prime Minister. Do stay with us here on The Pulse.